My dad had just lost a toe and he was on his way to losing another one. He was hooked up to a wound vac and he was in bed trying to get some sleep. And that's when the power went out. Some joker was driving out of the valley here and hit a power pole and it set the power out. So my mom, she had this piano stool. She set it in the middle of the room and she put this candle on it and she lit the candle so that my dad, if he woke up, he would have a little bit of light to be able to get from the bed to the bathroom because he was missing a leg and missing a toe and on his way to losing another one. He was very unfortunate. He was blind in one eye. Just a mess of problems. Dialysis 3 times a week, 5-hour sessions. I was driving him to Portland every month. Juvenile diabetes, he struggled from the time he was 9. I was there when he went blind. That was awful. So he's laying in bed, and there's a candle lit in the middle of the room, and my mom goes out on the back porch, and she sits down, and she sends me a text message saying the power went out. It's really creepy up here. And I sent her a message just telling her I love her and I'll talk to her soon, and that was it. I hadn't heard anything from her. About an hour and a half goes by and I get this phone call from the neighbor across the street. She said, "Dan, your mom and dad's house is on fire and your dad is on the way to the hospital." I had my dad's pickup truck in the driveway. All my other shit was fucked up, so I just jumped in my dad's truck and I took off from my house in town all the way out here, and I never missed a beat. I never stopped for one fucking traffic light. I broke every fucking law that I could, crossed lanes. I was all over the road. I was an absolute menace to society. Everything that truck had in it, I was giving it. I had this just terrible feeling my dad was dying. She said he was on the way to the hospital, so I didn't know how bad my mom was, so I was just hammering it getting here. I ditched the truck here at the bottom of the road and ran up to the house, which was impossible, but I made it. I come walking into the driveway next door. I could see the fire at the bottom of the valley. I could see the glow in the sky. And I knew it was my mom and dad's house. I knew it was everything that we'd ever worked for, everything I'd ever saved, all my money, everything. It was all in this goddamn glow. So I go across here into this fucking driveway and I'm sitting there with my mom for a second, and this firefighter's asking her how she lit the fire. She had taken her pain meds that night and was gonna go to bed. She went out on the back porch. She was smoking a cigarette. And she heard my dad holler. And she put the cigarette down. She had just texted me. And she went in the house and saw smoke. She ran all the way into the back of the house and found my dad in the room, and the candle had broken, caught this drape on fire that was nearby, but not close enough to where it should have happened. My dad was already sitting up in the bed. The one side of the room is going, and there's just no fucking way they're gonna put it out. So dad sits down in the wheelchair, and mom starts wheeling him backwards. Their fucking family dog is running out of the room already. Mom's trying to wheel him backwards, and his wound vac is stuck in the fucking chair, so she just drug him. She just drug him in his wheelchair all the way out of the hallway, out the front door. Their damn dog ran out with them, thank God. Power's out. Mom and my dad are out in the front yard. My dad's burned real fucking bad. So my mom just starts screaming. She was panicked. You know, the love of her life. He's moaning in agony in the driveway of the old house that was right here where I'm sitting. And she's just screaming her heart out for the neighbors, anyone, God, to save them. I took this picture across the street. It was my childhood home. My dad worked his ass off. Blood, sweat, and tears. Thousands of hours he put into trying to make that place his own. Just went all up in an instant. It was a complete loss. I had just bought 10,000 rounds of ammunition for my AK. It was going off like firecrackers in this place for hours. The fire department came over across the street when I took that picture before, stood next to me and said, "There's a lot of ammunition in the house." And I said, "Oh yeah. And because, that was just one rifle, and I had fucking so many guns. And I had ammo for everything. So it was my whole bedroom was just loaded, so much stuff. And it never stopped going off. The entire time that house burned, it just sounded like firecrackers going off on the 4th of July, like in succession, really fast. And that was my mom's new Jeep. Dad was life-flighted down to Portland, and he spent a month in ICU, and then another month healing in the hospital enough to where he could get to a rehabilitation center, which turned out to just be an old folks home. And he spent 7 months in rehabilitation doing dialysis and basically living like he was a 70-year-old man with people that were on death's door that had Alzheimer's and dementia, and he was 100% rational. He just was stuck there because there was no other way. We didn't have a home to take him to, and we hadn't built this house yet for him, which when we built this house 100% handicap accessible. We built the house for him, thinking that he would live out his last few years here and it would be more comfortable. My mom had just been in a car accident. This was Christmas, the last Christmas that I had with my father and my mom together. She broke her neck, she broke her arm, and she broke her leg. She got into a wreck on Highway 30 and was life-flighted to OHSU and had to go down and go take care of her. My dad is that's a completely separate wreck. So she had went through 3 Jeeps in about a year's time. My dad is burnt here, and this is the last Christmas that they ever had together, so we spoiled him with a lot of candy and a lot of bad stuff. He saw the building of this house, and right behind him in that picture is the patio that I walk on, and I have walked on, and I walked all my weight off on. That patio was put in because of the house fire. I told my mom I don't want him to ever struggle to get out of that fucking bedroom again. So we put French doors on the back of the house, which are right behind him. You can see that big wide open. Made a handicap bathroom. We set this patio up so that he could come back here and get a cup of coffee and just hang out here, and Mom made the windows so that she could pass the coffee through to him. And well, things just don't always go to plan. So we got that last Christmas, and we made it into June. And my dad started feeling funky, needed to have fistula surgery. The fistula is an artery that they connect 2 of your arteries together. They call it a fistula, I don't know why, but they're combining 2 major arteries so that they can shove basically a bike needle into your arm so they could draw blood out and drain you like a Chevrolet. Well, they were doing that surgery, and my dad had a heart attack. He spent 3 days in the hospital, and on the 4th, I went in to visit him because my mom said he wasn't doing very good. I told him I loved him before I left the room, and he said, "I love you too, Daniel." And I just went downstairs to grab a sandwich, and I was going to come right back up, and we were going to sit there and eat and bullshit. I was in the cafeteria when I heard code blue over a walkie-talkie with my dad's room number. I was on the security guard's fucking walkie-talkie. I asked him what the code blue was, and he said that means the patient stopped breathing. And that's how I found out my dad died. And I was such a fat fuck, I was getting a sandwich. Food didn't taste as good after that, so I walked a lot. I just dwelled on everything that happened. On this patio that was meant for him, in the house that he never got to live in.